Hey everyone, welcome back to the Casual Couch. Jane is here. We are gonna do another little mini read-along. So no makeup, you all just get subjected to my super pale face. Most of you are probably aware that I did a whole-ass read-along for Jenna Moressi's The Savior's Champion. Jenna being a proper queen of booktube, the cyborg queen, if you will. And in that read-along I mentioned that I didn't really have any interest in continuing the series, especially since the second book was doing that thing that I really hate, where you just rewrite the first book again from the love interest's point of view. Maybe other people absolutely adore that, but I despise it and I think it's lazy. That's just a me thing. And so I wasn't really super interested in it, and while I watch Jenna's channel, I don't really pay that much attention to what she does. I didn't know that she had a sample of The Savior's Sister up on her website until someone mentioned it to me, and I was like, curiosity killed the cat, but I need to look at it, and why not bring all of you with me? I haven't looked at it at all yet, so we're gonna do this together with Jane, who is on my lap, digging his claws into my leg. Let me make it clear again, even though disclaimers are dead, I feel like I gotta disclaim, this is nothing against Jenna. This sample is available to the public on her website. You don't have to be signed up to anything to read it, so it's free, it's there, we can critique it. And if you are feeling salty about me daring to shade the cyborg queen of booktube, just console yourself that she is 1,000 times more successful than me. 1,000,000 times even. There's a reason she's the queen and I'm just a peasant. Things I am really curious to see if they will come out in this little sample that we are given is Laila, I suspect, is going to be exactly like every other main character Jenna has written. I read all of her books. I suspect she's going to be a lot like Eve from Eve the Awakening, so crabby, a total badass, doesn't like people except for maybe like a select few, but especially doesn't like other women. We'll see. She does have to work together with her sisters in this one. So maybe we will get away from Jenna's tendency to write female characters who hate other women. But she's probably also going to be both a goody two-shoes and a murder hobo at the same time. I'm curious if any of that is going to come out in this little sample. And will I read the new book when it comes out? You know, I am an attention whore, again, because Jenna is 1,000,000,000 times more successful than me. You don't need to comment it below that she is everything I will never be. I already know that. Thanks. So let's get on to our sample of The Savior's Sister. I like the cover. I will say it right now. The cover, aesthetically pleasing. I'm into it. The first like inner page has the lily on there. I'm into it. I think she did all of the formatting herself this time, and it's really well done. I do notice in the Also by Jenna page that she only mentions The Savior's Champion, not Eve the Awakening. I haven't heard her say shit about Eve the Awakening in so long. I think she is trying to pretend that that book never happened, and if I had written Eve the Awakening, I would too. Shade. All right, the first chapter is The Betrayal. Let's get into it. Okay, I hate this. I might not be able to read this book. I'm one sentence in and I already hate this. You remember, if you watched my read-along of The Savior's Champion, that whenever Laila is mentioned, once we know that she is the savior, the her and the pronouns are all capitalized, as though she is God. You know, Christian God, we capitalize he, him, that kind of thing. And it is here too, and I absolutely hate it. It messes with the flow of my reading so much. My brain goes, capital letter, that must have been a period, like it chops up the sentences. What do you guys think? Do you hate this choice? Are you indifferent to this choice? I think it is incredibly distracting, but let's keep reading it if we can. Also, it makes me want to shout the pronoun in my head. So like, a piece she had seen 100 times, yet never ceased to captivate her. That's what it sounds like in my brain. This scene begins with Laila hanging out with her sisters, those being Cosima and Delphi that we've met so far. But Layla's not really paying attention. The girls are wanting to play. I don't know how old they are, but I think fairly young because they're wanting to play like princesses and stuff. Some of her choices for verbs where the way people move always seem a little bit odd. Layla's father and all of his fancy pants guards have come in, and she doesn't want to see him. She's intimidated by him, and he's like, Layla, come here. Springing to her feet and skittering his way. Skittering. That's something I think of like an insect does, like a kind of a thing. Not something that humans really do ever. Maybe shuffling, dragging her feet. Skittering is a weird choice. This was also confusing. We haven't set the scene very well. We know they're under a mural, but I still am having a hard time with like where everybody is in the room and how many guards there are and that kind of thing. Layla's dad looked away and said, "You're certain of the time?" His gaze was locked on the page before him. And I thought that he had a book, because we were really given no description of what he was doing. So like he had a book before him and he was looking at the page. It took me 3 times to understand that I think it means page, as in page boy, as in servant. Maybe just saying page boy would have helped the confusion. I feel like this scene could be made clearer as far as where everybody is, what size this room is. Just a few more hints would be good for me. We're also maybe getting the hint that Laila can see people's auras. It's unclear. Her dad is being a hard ass, and she looks up towards the mural hoping to see some pretty colors, reassuring colors, and then she can see only gray. And it says she never saw pretty colors in her father. So are we saying that Laila can like see colored auras? Or am I reading way too much into that and she's just like depressed? I don't know. What are the powers of the savior? We are already getting the hint that something is up if the title of this chapter wasn't enough to do that. A senator named Ixion is resigning, and he's not happy about the current circumstances or the current arrangements. So again, I had to read this twice. I'm having a really hard time quite understanding what's going on here. The senator's like, I want to resign, and Layla's dad is like, well, I happen to know that you, like, cook meth on the side when you're not being a senator. And her dad's like, it'd be a shame if everyone found that out. And the senator's like, oh, okay, never mind. But it took me 2 readings to understand what was going on here. I feel like I should be privy to more of this. Like, Jenna expects me to understand this world better than I do. And I read the previous book. Like, I don't understand why creating peculiar concoctions with some very powerful and often dangerous effects is necessarily something that you could blackmail somebody with in this world. Layla's a little shorty. Her sisters are like, let's play tag, and she can't keep up because her legs are really short, apparently. Oh, she's figuring out her teleportation powers. We remember those. She gave those to Toby so he could cheat in a fight, and so she's teleporting after her sisters. Still can't get over the capitalization. She looked down at her glowing hands. There it is again. This is the second time. I pointed it out in the first book, and we are using it again. By sheer will of her thoughts. I contend that thoughts and will are separate. You could say by sheer will or with her thoughts alone, but will of her thoughts doesn't seem correct to me. Can thoughts have will? Comment below and let me know. Did Jenna watch my read-along and put this in here just to piss me off? I choose to believe so. I have no evidence of this. I don't care. Laila can also see reflections of past, presumably saviors, in the mirror. She calls them her mummies. And there are 2 of them right now. One has her shiny white skin, and the other has brown skin. So I don't know if we're going to find out that sometimes the savior can have brown skin, or whether there's something else going on with this. Okay, this is a little bit of a cheat. Layla's teleporting around trying to find Delphi, who is one of her sisters, and she pops up next to her dad's office. And rather than just teleporting away again, she decides to tiptoe past his office so she can conveniently hear what's going on inside. Okay, she can definitely see auras because she said her father's colors seeped straight beneath the door. I betcha when she sees Toby, he's gonna be like glowing gold or something like that. He's gonna be a beautiful golden boy. And of course, she happens by her father's office right exactly when they are talking about their evil schemes. Perfect timing. I keep waiting for her father to be like, gosh, I hope my daughter isn't listening right outside. They've got an assassin to shoot her. They've got a rebel. Not sure where the rebels are or how they factor into this. but they've got a rebel to take the fall. It's all gonna be good. I'm kind of wondering how the line of these women has lasted so long, because there has to have been other terrible, power-hungry men who want to take over. So there must be something about these women that, like, protects them. We know that Layla's mother died horribly. I mean, maybe they could just shoot her with a crossbow bolt. God, Queen dead, the end. So Romulus, the evil senator, is like, I could just kill her. You don't have to outsource this to another assassin. We all know from the previous book how bad this guy is at choosing assassins, because he picked some really shitty assassins. But Layla's dad is like, no, you killed my wife, and I still ended up with a kid, so you're bad at this too. And I'm like, to be fair, Romulus had absolutely no way of knowing that some random peasant woman would perform a successful cesarean section to save the baby. How on earth was he supposed to predict that shit? So Laila decides she's heard enough and she teleports back to her room where her mirror mothers are waiting for her. And we do find out that the woman with brown skin was her nanny. And probably, I would guess, the mother of one of her sisters. Shoot, I can't remember their name. Delphi. Not sure where Cosima came from yet. Jenna really wants to drive home that both these women are dead. She keeps reminding us, like, they're dead. She's seeing dead women. These women were killed. I'm very confused by what's going on here. Laila teleports to Romulus's chamber, and I'm just going to read this. In the corner sat a familiar little girl with thin blonde hair and large blue-green eyes. This was who she was looking for. Laila stood before the girl, hands shaking at her sides. I can't. She stifled a whimper, but she had no other choice. I know you don't understand, her voice trembled, but I have to. She wasn't sure how long she waited for him. Time had lost significance. Like, what is happening? There's another girl, and she's doing something to her, but they aren't talking to each other, and I'm just... It's okay to explain some of these things. If your character is doing some sort of magical thing involving another person, you can explain a little bit about what's going on. Like, tell us who this other person is. Your main character knows. Why won't you tell us? I know that you want to create suspense, but there are good times and bad times to do that, and a bad time to do it is in a place where it will confuse your reader. So I'm pretty sure I know who this is because I read the previous book. I think this is... I can't remember her name now, but one of the Savior's sisters was implied to be autistic, and I believe that is this girl. Romulus apparently has adopted this girl, and Laila is now kind of using her to get at him. Laila has flipped a switch into straight-up horror movie child. She is just like... She's intimidating this senator, and she's like, you shouldn't be scared of my father. You should be scared of me. Damn, like, where did this come from? She was a sweet little girl playing with her sisters, and now she's like, I will murder you. And I'm going to do it in front of your adopted autistic daughter. This is a really weird arrangement that she's trying to make. She's threatening to kill this girl. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and assume that if Romulus called her bluff, that she wouldn't murder this child, this autistic child, in front of him. I'm going to pretend that that would never happen. But the other side, she's like, I can kill this girl right now in front of you, or you can give her to me and I will take care of her, but you have to cancel my public engagement tomorrow where I know I will get killed. And I'm like, what kind of offer is that? I guess this way she lives, but, like, is Romulus not taking good care of her? Are we supposed to understand that? He's kept her hidden away, but it seems like he's done that to protect her from Layla's dad, not because he's ashamed of this little girl or anything like that. So I'm very confused how we're supposed to feel about Romulus. I mean, obviously he's a bad murder guy, but he could have the added depth of loving and caring for this child that he's adopted. And now Laila is threatening to murder this child in front of him, and who is the villain here? Maybe that's the point. Maybe Jenna is trying to say that there are no good people. No one is good. Maybe this little autistic girl is good, but, like, no one is good. Laila is a murderer. This guy is a murderer. Everyone is evil. Maybe that's what she's trying to say. I mean, this is supposed to be a dark fantasy, so that could be a theme, is that even our heroes are terrible people. Pippa, that's the girl's name, and I don't know if that's actually her name or if Laila has just decided to name her that on the spot. We were never told her name before this point. But she's stolen a baby. She has stolen a child from a man who, for all we know, is a loving grandfather. Maybe later on we'll find out that he was horribly abusing Pippa, but all we know at this point is that he was hiding her from the sovereign who we know is evil. So, like, Laila, our hero, has stolen someone's child. She says, come on, Pippa, you're my sister now. So we're going to take this autistic little girl from the only life she's ever known and expect her to thrive somewhere else. We know she's going to because Pippa turns out to be happy and well-adjusted in the next book. But I have autistic people in my family, and a big change in routine is incredibly distressing for many autistic people. So what are you doing, Laila? Okay, that was the end of chapter 1. We are on to... okay, I guess that was just a little blurb. It wasn't chapter 1. This is chapter 1. It had a title, but it didn't have a chapter heading. Now we're on to chapter 1, The Senators, where presumably Laila will be an adult. I didn't realize that this was so long. There's like 3 chapters here. We'll see how far we get. So just to recap though, I can't get over it. As a child, Laila threatened a man and stole his granddaughter. What is she going to do as an adult? I can't wait. She's naked in a garden, so that's where we're at. Apparently she's just like laying tits out on the grass, blessing the kingdom. Sorry, blessing the realm. We get to know that she's sexy and a badass. She's strapping a knife to her thigh. Only the sexiest girls wear knives on their thighs. She's still seeing her mothers in the mirror. Not sure why, but it's there. We get Pippa right away, who is verbal now. She was nonverbal before. She is verbal now, and she's hugging Laila, meaning us to understand that she's very glad that she was stolen from her grandfather. Or perhaps she just made the best out of a bad situation. Like, maybe we should give Pippa some more credit for, like, coming out of that. I will say that Laila is being pretty chill with these 2 girls. They are her sisters, and I know already from the previous book that one is a lesbian and the other is non-threatening sexually because she is autistic. For some reason that's a thing. So far, I'm thinking that Laila's going to be pretty chill with women who she does not find at all threatening. Cosima has finally arrived, and she is really hot. Like, she has every asset possible. I will say it will go a long way to making me appreciate how much Jenna's writing has grown if she can make Cosima a complex character. This is her 3rd book, so maybe she will start to learn how to make characters have complexity. We already had an evil senator who we don't know was mistreating his granddaughter, so maybe. To be clear, if you're not familiar with Jenna's books, in which case why are you here, her villains tend to be evil and nothing else. So that's why I was kind of pleasantly surprised that maybe he wasn't abusing his granddaughter. Oh, okay. I knew there was going to be a new guard character and possible romantic rival that Toby doesn't even know about. I think he might die at or near when she falls in love with Toby. That's my suspicion. I have no proof of this, but he is a very handsome guard man. What does this mean? Cosima eyed the man over. Do you mean she looked him over? Or did something that she did she eye him over, like calling him over, but with her eyes? I'm very confused by this. Laila is immediately hot for Asher, the sexy guard man. Possibly Asher is going to be why Laila is so insecure in the other book, because in the other book, like, if Toby so much as glances at another woman, Laila flips out and is like, you don't love me. So maybe Asher will be the source of that supreme insecurity. We keep describing Asher, just in case you're wondering, like, is he still hot from one paragraph to another? Yes, he is. Thank goodness. Then Cosima pushes Laila into a shaft of sunlight. Makes me wonder why we even have those. And Laila begins to glow like the sparkly vampire that she is. Layla's like, not again. So apparently she just like accidentally walks into a lot of shafts of sunlight and scares everyone. Asher just like straight up fainted. So she thinks he's hot even while unconscious though. Nothing will dull his sexiness. So poor Asher, he cracked his beautiful head on the floor, but don't worry, Laila is healing him with her magic. Now this is our first oh my god, and I went on a big tirade, a character saying oh my god, I mean. And in the previous book, I had a long discussion about language, and characters who are not really exposed to like Christian religion would not say oh my god. They might say oh my savior or savior damn it or something like that. And someone was like, well no, apparently the Christian God does exist in this world. We are just never told about it, and we're just supposed to just know that from, I don't know, from reading Jenna's tweets or something. And I'm sorry, that doesn't count. If it's supposed to be there, and you want it in your world building, then you gotta put it in. Otherwise, you're gonna have assholes like me pointing out that it doesn't make any sense for people to say, oh my god. I will personally never take, oh, I mentioned it in a tweet or a blog or something like that, or oh, you're just supposed to assume. You gotta put it in the text. I will say that in this book so far, the language has all been pretty consistent. A big complaint for the Savior's Champion was that everybody would talk real regal and classy, and then all of a sudden say something completely modern and like lingo and slang that we use now. And I haven't really experienced any of that yet, so that's a plus. We get a little bit of history of the Savior. I'm pretty familiar with it already, so I'm just skimming. I have Ritz Bits now. I need a snack for this. Laila goes to the Senate chamber, and her dad is there. And we get a trope that I'm seeing a lot more. I guess I don't know if it's a trope or a cliche. This is the new describing yourself in a mirror, where a character will compare themselves to a parent. These are the ways we look the same, these are the ways we look different, as a way to describe the character. And I think it's starting to get oversaturated. I've been seeing it a lot lately. Sometimes you can just describe your character, especially if it's third person. Like, obviously don't do a whole paragraph about how they look, but sometimes you can just say they have brown hair or a nice nose or something, you know? At least we're finally getting some senators, which were mentioned in the previous book, but we never got to see. Layla's turning 20, and apparently when she's 20, she doesn't need the Senate anymore. Loud motorcycle. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's because that's when she gets a husband and he can help her rule or some shit. Maybe there wasn't even a Senate before. Like, it sounds like maybe Brontes, her dad, got them together because she was a baby and couldn't rule, and she didn't have her mother still ruling, so he got a Senate together. Maybe that kept the people placated. And all of the men, mostly her dad, are gaslighting her. She's like, I am of age tomorrow. I should be the queen. I must begin to rule. And they're like, you can't rule. You're unreasonable. You're a hysterical woman. So they're like, and you have to bless the realm each day. And that's so taxing, you know. I'm like, well, A, previous saviors have definitely done that and still ruled. And B, do these guys know that blessing the realm involves lying naked in her garden? I'm just curious. I'm also very curious what excuse, what's his name, used, that senator whose granddaughter she stole, what excuse he used to keep that big assassination thing from going forward, and in fact keeping Laila from never meeting her kingdom until possibly, you know, this tournament's gonna happen. What on earth could this Romulus guy have said that was so effective? Okay, now we have some of that modern way of speaking coming in. They're talking about the Savior's tournament, and she has to pick a husband, and she's like, I don't really want one. They're like, wait until you see all these guys, and she's like, what if I don't like men? Maybe I like women. Developed a taste for cunt and tits. It's out of cadence with the rest of the way that they speak. Saying things like cunt and tits for the sake of saying them, rather than because it's necessary for the story, it fucks with the flow of the way that these characters have been speaking. Laila has completely failed this intimidation check. And she's like, I don't want the tournament. And her dad's like, too damn bad you're getting it. Oh, Romulus is here. He's still alive. He's going to help her get ready for the tournament, I guess. Now she's using Romulus as her own personal spy. Not entirely sure how that works. I assume she's just like, is she still threatening to kill Pippa? Is she like, if you don't act as my spy, I could stab this girl at any time. I could go unhinged like that. You don't know. She scarred him with her murder child act, and now he's just under her thumb. And she's like, so what's up with the tournament? And he's like, yep, your dad's gonna try to assassinate you. She's going back and forth with old Romulus, like, how's my dad gonna kill me? He's like, I can't say. She's like, bitch, yes you can. And finally she finds out that Galenor, or Gelinor, I'm not sure if the G is hard or soft, is the Vault Keeper, has something to do with it. Okay, so he's in charge of a large transfer of funds that's going somewhere, probably to hire Kaleo, the world's worst assassin and shepherd. He's not good at anything. Romulus might be a solid dude. And maybe Jenna is figuring out that human beings have layers, because he's like, maybe don't just murder these assassins, because they are just doing their jobs. They're being paid. Yes, they're being paid to kill you, but like, maybe spare their lives. And Laila's like, no, I'm gonna kill him real good. Romulus, perhaps a nuanced person. Laila, though, unsettling. Of course, this is so Jenna. I'm starting to know her tropes. So she's like, I need to talk to this Galenor guy, and she teleports to his chamber, aware, of course. Guess what he's doing? No, go ahead. Guess what he's doing. Did you guess that he's jacking off? Thanks, Jenna. She's here to, like, torture this guy. She reaches down the slit in her dress and pulls out her knife. I can hear the music playing in the background, like, ba-da-ba-da. And now she's torturing him. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. Tying the senator to a chair so she can better torture him. So far, child Laila has stolen a kid, and adult Laila is torturing a man. She's also killed before, because he realizes, as she's like tying him up, that a couple senators have been missing for a while, and she killed them. She is the god queen of the realm. Like, couldn't she wield that a little bit? Maybe stand in a beam of sunlight and be like, yeah, my dad is cool, but I'm a fucking god queen. And then maybe teleport around a little bit and be like, where do your loyalties lie, bitches? She'd just go all Galadriel on them. I bet several of them would sway to her side. What does her dad have, really? What does he have that she could not be way cooler than? This paragraph is trying really hard, though, to make it clear that Laila is a good person for murdering them, or right for murdering them, because they were, you know, imprisoning her and trying to take her power. Just show off a little bit of that power, bitch. I bet you these guys would come to your side. I think Jenna just really wants Laila to be cool, TM. Like a badass. Like, we are supposed to be like, oh my gosh, she's so badass. Oh, she's so dark. So the coin is indeed going to pay the worst assassins ever. You'll be fine, Laila. You're in no danger from these idiots. One thing that can help, if you want to have a main character who kills, and you can totally do that, is to have them feel something when they do. The author of that sci-fi book that I read, oh shoot, I forget what it was called, I'll put it on the screen, tried to do that by having her murder hobo kill but then feel bad about it, but it definitely felt like it was just like two very drastic different characters inhabiting the same body. So she'd be like, murder, 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 murder. Oh man, I wish I hadn't murdered all those people. And it was like, well, why did you murder them then? But Laila, it even specifically says that she's stabbing his hand, he's screaming in agony, and she is immune to his screams. So there's no humanization for Laila. Her humanization is supposed to come from the fact that we know that she's been mistreated by these people, but we're given no indication that she feels even the slightest human reaction to hurting these people, and she's supposed to be a healer. I think that's where my problem lies. Not necessarily that she kills, but that she is so icy chill about it. Like, she's very sociopathic vibes. I keep forgetting that she can see people's auras because she only mentions it every now and then, and I hope there's a reason for it, because otherwise, why? Like, the teleporting is useful, the healing is useful, the glowing, is a plot point, but like the seeing people's auras, what is it and why is it there? And then after she finishes torturing this man and gets the information she wants, she stabs him in the throat. That's a very aggressive and personal way to kill someone, like with a knife in the throat. She is looking this man in the face as she kills him brutally, and she doesn't feel any kind of emotion over it. And I think that is where I'm running into the biggest problem with Laila. Yeah, this is such a psychopath thing to say. Delphi, I've made another mess. Come help me clean it up, would you? Like, Toby, run. Toby, run. Do not once. Like, I don't really like Toby, but I'm like, stay away from this bitch. Like, the day that you cross her is the day she stabs you in the throat. You have some little marital disagreement, and this bitch is gonna tie you to the chair, torture you until you apologize, and stab you in the throat. I can see it coming, Toby. Run. That was the end of this chapter, and I've already been filming for a super long time, so I might read the next chapter in another video. Like if this particular video does pretty well, I'll go ahead and read the next chapter for all of you. If you liked this, guys, don't forget that I have several other read-alongs here on the channel, all on a playlist for you, easy binging, and lots of other book reviews. There's so much on this channel. But if you must have something that is brand spanking new, I post new videos Mondays and Fridays. All the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo for ease of your clicking, so you can keep an eye on me in lots of different places. Make sure you keep up with my shenanigans. And my pets. Let's be real. Most people are here for the pets. And if you want to support me monetarily and help me self-publish my own book so that you can have something of mine to read and critique to your heart's content, you can help me out over on my Patreon, where you will also get access to exclusive videos never seen here on the regular channel, so that's exciting. But I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!
What's that? You say you want to hear about patrons? Well, have I got some patrons for you. They are Adrienne, Lennox, Amanda, Irene, Jenny, Jesper, Lisa, Ryakio, Sabby Panda, Savvy, Scribbling Cat, and Zaire. Isn't that the best bunch of patrons you have ever heard of in your whole life? And I'm thinking lately she might be the one. But this girl, she's crazy. It's like dancing with a gun. And I can't find the safety. My legs refuse to run. Won't somebody save me from this girl, from this girl?